In May this year, Hollywood releases its latest epic. It's the story of the Trojan War.
There's a great will to believe that there was a Trojan War. It was for the love of a beautiful woman.
But is any of it more than just a myth?
You have science on the one hand, and you have the imagination gone wild on the other.
Tonight, Horizon can reveal the latest scientific evidence about the real Troy.
There are skeletons. We found, for example, a girl, I think 16, 17 years old. It was a city which was besieged and they were defeated.
The evidence comes from the written tablets of a lost civilization. An extraordinary shipwreck. And treasure uncovered at Troy itself.
The scientist collides with the romantic.
We show how science is taking us closer than ever to the truth behind one of the greatest stories of them all. For thousands of years, these tunnels have held a secret. Until now. They are carved into the bedrock of an ancient city in northwest Turkey. The marks of the workmen who made them still visible.
You see the burning still of the lamps up here and the chisels which went into to make this cavity.
Archaeologist Manfred Kaufmann has come here with a new scientific technique that he hopes will uncover a truth about these tunnels. It may reveal something that many have suspected, but no one has been able to prove. His technique may take us closer than ever to the hard facts behind an ancient myth. The story of the Trojan War. It's one of the greatest love stories ever. Helen was the most beautiful woman in the world. She's married to a Greek king, but she's spirited away to the magnificent city of Troy after she's seduced by the Trojan prince, Paris. For the Greeks, this means war. Their most powerful king, Agamemnon, assembles an army. A 1,000 ships from all across Greece set sail to lay siege to Troy and bring back Helen. The siege drags on for 10 years. The Greeks cannot break Troy's great walls, so they resort to trickery. They leave a great wooden horse outside the city, and the Trojans pull it inside. Greek soldiers hidden in the horse jump out and open the city gates. Troy is then razed to the ground. The story was composed by the Greek poet Homer almost 3,000 years ago. It's so compelling that for centuries people wondered if any of it was true. Was there a war fought for love? Did a coalition of Greeks set sail? Did Troy even exist? Eric Klein is an archaeologist who has tried to answer these questions.
Is there any truth in this story? Is there a nugget, a kernel of truth at the base of the story around which everything else is wrapped. Is there some historical war which took place, which Homer wrapped in layer after layer after layer, so it became much more than just a single battle, a single conflict, much more than just a war. It became a story, an epic, a saga. And what we have to try and do is peel away the layers and get at the truth, if there is any there to find.
The first task was to find out when in history the legend was set. Most scholars accept that Homer composed the story in the 8th century before Christ. But it's thought that he was writing about a time hundreds of years earlier, sometime in the Age of Bronze. At the beginning of this era, the pyramids of Egypt were being built. Writing came to Greece. And the invention of bronze weapons revolutionized the face of warfare. It was in the late Bronze Age, around 1200 years before Christ, that it is believed the story of the Trojan War is set. Having determined the time, the task now facing archaeologists was to find out if Troy ever existed. The first breakthrough was made by Heinrich Schliemann in 1870. He was something of an amateur, but he had other qualities.
To be an archaeologist, you have to be both good and lucky. Schliemann was not necessarily that good, but he was luckier than almost anybody else that has ever put trowel or spade into the ground.
Schliemann looked for geographical clues in Homer to follow up. They placed Troy in the northwest corner of what is now Turkey. Schliemann believed they fitted the site of an ancient mound by the coast. He didn't hang around.
Schliemann shows up at the site, hires a couple hundred workers, and puts a whacking great trench right through the middle of the mound. And that was archaeology.
15 meters down, he found a walled palace, with a paved ramp leading to a gate.
He found a great gate in stone with a great road leading through the gateway, wide enough so that 2 chariots could have driven through it side by side. And that is one of the clues that Homer gives.
Schliemann thought he'd found Homer's Troy. The rest of the world wasn't so sure. But in this trench, he answered the doubters with a breathtaking discovery. Treasure. Gold diadems. Jewels fit for the most beautiful woman in the world. Here was evidence of a rich and advanced culture.
He had found the very jewels, the very necklaces, bracelets, earrings that Helen had worn, or so he claimed. And so the world was absolutely entranced, especially when Schliemann put these necklaces, these jewels, on his wife, when he bedecked Sophie.
Schliemann had brought the myth dramatically to life. He was certain he'd found the mythical city of Troy, and the world wanted to believe him. But in fact, he'd got something completely wrong.